You've probably heard about Roselle tea, right? It's everywhere online, praised as this amazing, all-natural way to lower your blood pressure. But is there any real science behind that, or is it just another health myth? Well, today we're going to dig in and find out. So this is really the core question. When we look at this simple flower, what are we actually seeing? Is it just a nice, tasty herbal tea, or is it something that functions more like a complex medicine? The answer, as it turns out, is way deeper than you might think.
Okay, so this whole explainer actually comes from a really cool place. It started as this fascinating back and forth online, a scientific debate really, between a professor, Professor Lin, and a super knowledgeable reader. And together, they took this pretty common health question and just blew it wide open, taking it right down to the molecular level.
So let's get right into the science. The first big thing to understand is that Roselle tea does not work the way most people think. It's not about some vague antioxidant power. No, the real mechanism is so much more specific and, honestly, way more incredible.
And here it is, the key to the entire puzzle. It's a single compound with a mouthful of a name, delphinidin-3-sambubioside. But what's so amazing is that scientists have pinpointed this exact molecule. We're moving away from just general health claims and into real pharmacology. This is the little guy doing all the heavy lifting.
Now, to get what that molecule does, you first have to know about ACE, or angiotensin-converting enzyme. Just think of ACE as a signal in your body that basically runs around telling your blood vessels to squeeze tighter. And when they get tighter, your blood pressure goes up.
Okay, get ready for the big reveal because this is wild. On the left, you've got that active ingredient from our Roselle flower. And on the right, that's a common prescription drug for blood pressure called captopril. And here's the kicker, they both work in almost the exact same way. They both block that ACE signal, stopping the tighten up message from getting through. This shows it's not just a folk remedy, it's acting on the very same target as a pharmaceutical drug.
So if it works kind of like a drug, you might be thinking, well, why don't I feel my blood pressure drop right after I drink a cup? And that is a fantastic question. It leads us right to our next critical point. This is all about patience, not instant magic.
The reason you don't feel it right away is because Roselle isn't a quick fix. It's working on a much deeper level. It's interacting with this huge complex thing in our bodies called the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system, or RAAS. You can think of it as the body's long-term command center for blood pressure. And a system that powerful doesn't just change on a dime. It takes consistent nudging over time to get it to adjust.
So what does that time frame actually look like?
Well, you'd start drinking it every day, but honestly, you might not see any real change for about 2 weeks. Then, around week 4, you might start to see your blood pressure stabilize. And by week 6, that's when those deep, systemic effects really start to lock in. The real takeaway here is commitment. You really have to stick with it for at least a month, maybe 2, to see those meaningful, stable results.
Okay, so we know the mechanism and we know the time frame. But how do you actually make the tea to get these effects? This is where it gets super practical. See, if you want medicinal results, you have to treat the preparation almost like a prescription. How you brew it is just as important as what's in it. Yeah, this isn't just about throwing a tea bag in some hot water. This is a specific protocol designed to pull out the maximum amount of that active compound. We're talking a precise dose, 1.5 grams, a pre-rinse, very specific water temperature, and then covering the cup while it steeps for 8 to 12 minutes. And covering it is key. It keeps all those beneficial compounds from just evaporating away. To get results, you need 2 to 3 of these perfectly prepared cups every single day.
All right, we've talked about the benefits, but a truly critical look at anything means we also have to talk about the risks. And in this case, there are 2 really important and often ignored side effects that you absolutely need to know about.
Here's the first big one, acid. Roselle tea is extremely acidic. Now, that acid is actually good for keeping those active compounds stable in the tea, but it's terrible for your teeth. Over time, that constant acid bath can soften and literally erode your tooth enamel. And once that enamel is gone, it's gone for good.
But here's the good news. You can easily protect yourself. First, try using a straw. It helps the tea bypass your teeth. Second, as soon as you're done drinking, rinse your mouth out really well with plain water to neutralize that acid. And finally, and this is so important, do not brush your teeth right away. Your enamel is in a softened state, and if you brush it then, you could actually scrub it away. You've got to wait at least 30 minutes for it to reharden.
Now for warning number 2. And this one basically cancels out the entire reason for drinking the tea in the first place.
Because the tea is pretty sour, a lot of people add sugar to make it taste better. The problem is, doing that is like trying to drive a car by pressing the gas and the brake pedals at the exact same time. You're just fighting yourself.
And we can see exactly why sugar is such a problem. That insulin spike tells your kidneys to hold on to salt and water, which increases your blood volume. Not good. It also revs up your nervous system, which makes your heart beat faster and constricts your blood vessels. On top of all that, the fructose in the sugar creates uric acid, which can damage your arteries. I mean, look at this. Every single thing sugar does works in direct opposition to what the Roselle tea is trying to accomplish.
So, after all of that, what's the big picture here? What is the main lesson we should be taking away from this whole deep dive? It's really about a specific way of thinking.
This really gets to the heart of it. So, can Roselle tea lower your blood pressure? The answer isn't a simple yes or a simple no. The real answer is yes, but. Yes, but only if you prepare it with the right method. Yes, but only if you're patient enough to stick with it for weeks. And yes, but only if you're aware of the risks to your teeth and you actively manage them. That nuance, that yes, but, that is the very essence of thinking critically about our health.
And that kind of leaves us with a final question, doesn't it? We just took one piece of simple health advice and discovered this whole complex story hiding underneath. It makes you wonder, what other simple health tips that we hear all the time might have a much deeper, more complicated reality just waiting to be explored? Something to think about. Thanks for going down this rabbit hole with me.